Don in London, hello. It's April 29th, 2009. Now, where did April go? My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or recovery from both substance and behaviour. My favourite substance used to be alcohol, until it bit me in the arse and I had to stop it. And that took 35 years. And what were the consequences of all of this? Well, 2 big careers, a lot of work, workaholic, relationshipaholic, trying to be perfect, never so, and then gymaholic, and then lifeaholic, and then I didn't want to live anymore, and fear, putting on a brave face, and ego pretty much got me doing things that other people wanted me to do, and diverted me from my own life. I didn't know who I was in the end, and was I a money-making machine, a drinking machine, a relationship machine, and never really knowing who I was. So the gift today is, on a daily basis, I get the idea of who I am. Just an ordinary person making progress. I'm never perfect. And what helps me most in this recovery of addiction to either substance or behaviour, because obviously my behaviour was towards perfection. What an idiot sometimes I feel, but actually I realised why I was the way I was, and that was because fear was part of my life. And it was part of my history and my background. So if we grow up that way, it's not surprising that we look for something to take the edge off and to make our lives feel more happy, and also to deal with the sadness of life as well. So I managed in the end, after lots of medical support, family support and community support, to get to what is known as the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And really AA is the mainstay of my sobriety, one day at a time. So I go to meetings of AA, of which there are 600 or so in London, and at every meeting this preamble is shared as a statement of what AA is there to do. And it goes like this, and please understand I don't speak for AA, I just speak about my experience, strength and hope of living. Yes, I need to remind myself of that every day. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I was at a meeting last night, and the person sharing had a powerful message about what it's like to be in the fellowship, and then for whatever reason of depression or anxiety or anger or resentment, we go out again and relapse and have a real good drink. And you know, from my first meeting to my second meeting, it was 5 years. That's how much I felt about AA. I didn't want to go there because I didn't want to stop drinking, and I didn't want to stop blotting out the pain, because I was in pain. And the chair last night reminded me just how fearful I was when I first got to AA. I was frightened of everything. I was frightened of living. I was frightened of waking up, but I wasn't actually frightened of not waking up. It was preferable. So how distorted is that? You know, it's insane. Insane that we would want to not wake up in the morning. But that's where it took me. And I wasn't the only one. It happens to many people. And being driven mad by not being able to achieve or not being able to value ourselves. You know, fear, brave face, ego, rather than some courage, faith and confidence. So really, the fellowship helps me keep the courage, faith and confidence even when life is difficult. And it hasn't been easy these last few months. My diabetes has been difficult, and clinical depression has been difficult. But things are on an even keel, just about. I can feel my cold abating now, so I'm in a strange place of there's nothing nagging at me as I wake up. So when I woke up and asked myself, how am I feeling, why, what can I do? That's asserting who I am. How am I feeling? Okay just now. Why? Because things seem to be in balance. What I need to do today is make sure I keep on balance if I can, not pick up any resentments, and make this day work as best it can. Anyway, my videos in April are about the 12-step program, step 4, 4th month, 4th step, and all the steps are about action and changes in our behaviour, attitudes and behaviour. And step 4 is all about the fearless moral inventory. It's a self-appraisal of our assets and liabilities, and where our resentments were, and what we did about them, and why were we carrying this burden when the rest of the world had probably forgotten about most of what we were resenting. And these days I try not to resent me. And it's difficult sometimes when you ask yourself, how did I get to be in my 50s and only start to understand what life might be about? I don't have the answer. The answer occurs as each day passes. And the gift is, I understand what is spiritual these days. And spiritual is seeing reality with less denials and less filters. Or at least that's what it works out for me. Because we need to be spiritual in the moment of now. Otherwise, what is spiritual? It's just a concept or an idea we have of being better at something than we thought we are. So experience, strength and hope on a daily basis improves my understanding of reality and helps to keep myself on track and the equal of others, not bigger, not smaller, just being a part of life and included rather than excluded by my behaviour. Much of the time I was a passive drunk and people pleased, as they say, but we all have our way, and the gift is Gandhi said something, one of his sayings, an emphatic no is better than a half-hearted yes. So that's part of my philosophy these days, but it's bloody hard to learn it. I go through the daily reflections, which I'll do now, 1 page a day, and I also use as Bill sees it. So for April 29th in the daily reflections, it's all about group autonomy, tradition 4, that thing I was talking about yesterday. Some may think that we have carried the principle of group autonomy to extremes. For example, in its original long form, Tradition 4 declares, any 2 or 3 gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group, provided that as a group they have no other affiliation. But this ultra-liberty is not so risky as it looks. In other words, we have to have our freedom to make our choices. As an active alcoholic, I abused every liberty that life afforded. How could AA expect me to respect the ultra-liberty bestowed by Tradition 4? Learning respect has become a lifetime job. AA has made me fully accept the necessity of discipline, I guess responsibility too, and that if I do not assert it from within, then I will pay for it. This applies to groups too. Tradition 4 points me in a spiritual direction, in spite of my alcoholic inclinations. So if my defects come out, fear, brave facing and ego, when I don't get my own way, surely I should have a little bit more courage, faith and confidence to see where things are going, as a group or as an individual. Oh yes, it's not as easy as it sounds, and as in Bill sees it for today, I do these linearly and not in any particular order, but it says here on page 89, review the day. And that's all about doing an inventory on a daily basis. So when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving to all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, or what we could pack into the stream of life? We must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to ourselves and to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness, or in good conscience, and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. And, the question of God comes up a lot, especially if doing a fearless moral inventory, because you haven't got to do anything actually. It's suggested that you look at your defects of character, those things we do too much of which are unhelpful, and also our assets, which are around courage, faith and confidence, which are, I guess, are the 7 virtues as opposed to the 7 vices. And if we have a pure heart, or an outlook which is not just about what am I going to get out of this, but what are we going to get out of this, I get to a place of empathy. So my assertiveness, how am I feeling, why, what can I do? And my empathy is, how are we feeling, why, and what can we do? So it's about inclusion, not exclusion. And inclusion involves love and fellowship. So that's where we get to. So when I say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference, it is just for today.